Adam Wagner began his closing statement by stating that Ian McGrail is an honest man who devoted 35 years of his life to public service, but that he'd been treated disgracefully. Contrary to the Attorney General's description of the former police commissioner, Mr Wagner said it was the Chief Minister who had behaved like a bull in a china shop.
The Attorney General, the Governor, the Chair of the Gibraltar Police Authority should have been the matadors, standing up for the rule of law against the bull who was trying to charge through it. But instead of red cloths, they held up white flags. It was clear from Mr Picardo's performance and oral evidence that he is a consummate politician. No one doubts his oratory skills, and no doubt they are an asset in Parliament and in politics. But people who watched his performance might also reasonably wonder whether he can be somewhat economical with the truth. So what? He's hardly the first political leader with a gift for the gab and a worrying tendency to protect his friends at the expense of the public interest. But that is what the Constitution is meant to protect against. That is why Gibraltar has the guardrails, the red lines. Many people in Gibraltar have watched these proceedings thanks to the excellent work that GBC has done in broadcasting them. We and Mr McGrail's team know this because people come up to us everywhere we go. They've told us again and again how shocked they are at what they've seen. They will no doubt be following this final hearing. What will they hear this afternoon?
Having seen the counsel for the government's closing statement delivered later in the afternoon by Sir Peter Caruana, Adam Wagner noted that there was no sign of any of the concessions heard during the oral hearings. No concessions, no insight, he said.
More disturbingly, they still, 4 years on, show no understanding of the boundaries and red lines which are supposed to exist according to Gibraltar's constitution, of the ministerial code, of the standards of public life.
Mr Wagner said the RGP had bravely crossed an invisible red line that everyone knew existed when they attempted to serve a search warrant against Hassan's senior partner, James Levy.
We also say that the central question for this inquiry is why Mr Picardo so fiercely advocated for Mr McGrail's removal. If you answer that question, sir, the other issues fall into place. We say it's now obvious what the answer was. To borrow the words of my friend, Mr Gibbs, Mr Picardo was batting for Team Levy. Perhaps that would have been resolved if we had, perhaps we would know more about this if we had the most important piece of missing evidence, the text messages between Mr Levy and Mr Picardo. We know that they were both keen text messengers. To continue our Isaac Newton theme, the Levy-Picardo text messages are the black hole in the evidence.
Fabian Picardo claims Ian McGrail had lied to him about what the DPP had said in relation to the warrant. But Adam Wagner said if that was truly his concern, why did the Chief Minister then discuss removing and punishing Mr McGrail with the suspect and his lawyer? And he asks why were none of these issues mentioned in the correspondence to other interested parties in the inquiry after the confrontational meeting with Mr McGrail on the 12th of May 2020.
He said in oral evidence he did not think Mr McGrail needed the position of 12th of May to be made clearer because he was fully aware of that, and that the warrant was vox populi in Gibraltar and therefore did not need to be referred to. These explanations in my submission are implausible to the point of being absurd. Why the reluctance? Because he knew that if he even mentioned the word Levy as part of his reasons for losing confidence in Mr McGrail, it would have caused an explosion.
Mr Wagner also highlights that the Chief Minister failed to correct his error of understanding about what the DPP had actually said because he had a clear motive for not doing so, and that is because he wanted to manipulate the police authority and the interim governor, Nick Pyle, to remove Ian McGrail from his post. Sir Peter Caruana had observed during his opening statement in April that the word corruption had not been mentioned by Mr McGrail's lawyers, despite, he said, that was how some had sought to spin this. So Adam Wagner closed his statement by making this point loud and clear.
When a politician uses their power to undermine a police investigation into their close friend, that's corruption. When the leader of the police force is hounded from office because the police investigated a powerful individual who is a close friend of a political leader, that is corruption. When witnesses are given financial incentives by a politician as part of giving critical evidence which helps that politician, that is corruption. What happens next, sir, will determine whether that corruption is allowed to fester again.
Ian McGrail's legal team had 4 recommendations for the inquiry chair, Sir Peter Openshaw. One of these is the creation of a Conflict of Interest Act to ensure there's accountability for any future serious breaches.